Hi Pisces, how are you? Welcome to your October 2017 tarot card reading. Thanks so much for being here. Really quick, I want to do a quick astrology highlight just like I did last month for you, specifically regarding this Jupiter transit into Scorpio. Now Jupiter is an important planet for Pisces because it's one of your ruling planets, right? Jupiter and Neptune. And it's just like it's entering the sign of Scorpio, which is a fellow water sign, and Scorpio rules the ninth house, which is, a house of spirituality. It's naturally ruled by Sagittarius, which is a sign that you kind of share Jupiter with. And it's about expansion and travel and education and spirituality. And even I often see it as being a very romantic. It can be a very romantic planet as well, depending on how it's positioned. And I think for you, there could be some connections being made, both platonically and romantically, like very movie style, like, oh, I traveled to this far unknown place and I met this amazing person and we really connected and now we're staying in touch. Some of you may actually be traveling to these dark corners of the world that you've always wanted to go visit, and others of you who won't be actually traveling will be incorporating some of those cultures or studying or learning the language or something like that, in order to tie in these foreign and these unknown places into your life. And it's such a good time for you to kind of really tap into that deep spiritual side that Pisces is, you're the ruler of the subconscious and, the ruler of that. So it's kind of an at-home placement for you. And I hope that you can feel it, and I hope that you can, really take advantage of its placement this year for you. I think it'll be really an exciting time. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you with that. Thank you so much, Pisces. I'm going to put my camera down and begin with the reading. Thanks. Pisces, let's go ahead and get started. I was shuffling and we had the Two of Swords popping out, which is a great card for you to get. Let me make sure. Okay. It's a great card for you to get because we're in the sign of Libra, and this is the Libra energy. And, when we speak of Libra and Two of Swords, we think of balance, we think of decisions, we think of things that need to be decided, we think of issues that need resolution, we think of multiple directions. So I don't know exactly what it is you're facing right now or at this point in time, but it's almost as though you've made up your mind. Hopefully you've made up your mind, or you're leaning toward a final decision towards something. And the thing with this is this can either be like hell or it can be easy, right? It can be so hard or so easy. Depends on how much you're resisting things, or how much you're believing in people that don't require belief, or not require, but that don't merit your belief in them. Pisces is so believing and so magical and very imaginative, and being ruled by, Neptune, there is that lack of boundaries at times, and this can require boundaries. It can require you to say no. It can require you to stand up for yourself or to demand something, and specifically demanding respect. And it's about maintaining a sense of self and making a decision based on that sense of self, self-respect, self-love. Okay? It can be hard sometimes, I think, for a Pisces. I have a lot of Pisces in my life. My brother is Pisces, my sister is Pisces rising. One of my best girlfriends, well, two Pisces girlfriends actually, and a few others. And they're just the nicest people. But I feel myself constantly having that conversation of, you're the only one doing all the work. That's constantly the discussion that I'm having with them. and the Princess of Cups. Okay, so it could be a message of some kind that you are that's being received. It could be an opportunity, but normally it is a communication, and normally it's a communication coming in. Sometimes it can be a message of, I'm sorry, let's try it again. Because with the dolphin here, we speak of the power of creation. It's a symbol for the power of creation. And it's that moment when new beginnings can happen. You know, it's like the moment of inception or of fertilization, right? When all of a sudden life begins. And life in a relationship, life in your own life, you know, breathing life into something. And but you need to be careful, because sometimes those offers, it's an offer, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that a new beginning will occur, but it's an offer, or it's a door opening. And just because the door opens, right, doesn't mean you have to go inside. Okay, you've got a whole bunch coming out here. So let's just take one at a time. So we've got Four of Pentacles. Look, this is decisive decision making, and this is groundedness and stability. All right? And when we say the Lord of earthy power, it's those roots. You know, it's like the volcano that is, you know, it's not just the mountain, it goes way, way, way deeper than that. And often it can represent stubbornness and, you know, lack of flexibility or rigidity. Someone's not letting something go. Someone's not moving on. Someone is just like staying planted, staying put. These can conflict sometimes, because sometimes you want to make a decision and you want to, like, okay, take that new road, that new path, but yet somehow you find yourself just like planted, unable, rendered unable somehow. And the Nine of Wands, the Lord of great strength. Now, actually, let me go back to this, because this can also really represent standards, your standards and your morals and your beliefs. So maybe for some of you, this indicates you having to really stand up for yourself, what it is you believe in, and not caving and not giving in. And sometimes that does require a great deal of strength. Sometimes it does mean that you alienate people in your life. Sometimes it means that you have to, you know, get a little bit mean sometimes. Because the Two of Swords is not a nice, friendly card. You know, swords are not friendly. They are weapons. They're used in warfare, right? They are meant to accomplish a goal. There's nothing romantic and there's nothing beautiful about that. You know? Being sturdy, being stern, being strict even. It's not a Pisces best friend, okay? But, you know, it is needed at times. And some of you really may be dealing with someone where either communication has been really difficult, or, you know, you kind of, maybe it's an ex and he just keeps surfacing or something like that. It's like, ugh, why are you still showing up? Why are you still here? Why do you keep coming back? Like, you can't just keep coming back and apologizing and expecting everything to be okay. Some of you are going to be like, no, that's, you know, not what I want. Three of Pentacles came out here. And this is a card of collaboration and communication. I often see it as being of new opportunities, and it goes well with the Page of Cups, because sometimes this can bring about really beautiful things. I feel that some of you may be getting what you want this month. I'm going to leave that open and generic. Getting what you want by standing up for your standards, by saying no, you know, and maybe even forcing other people to be like, oh, this Pisces isn't going to bend and do what I want, you know, and they're going to be, oh, okay, I'll do it, you know, and they'll adjust and they'll make revisions where it's needed. But this comes from you. It's got to come from you. It's got to be initiated by you, and you're going to really need to know what suits you and what doesn't in order to make this decision. I think people will be, quote unquote, happy to oblige. Now, some of you may be dealing with really frustrating and nasty people, so maybe not. But it is the maintenance of these standards, and it is the maintenance of this groundedness here that they either come or go, but either way, you're going to respect yourself at this point. Because sometimes this Page of Cups can be quite meaningless. An apology can be quite empty. A message or some kind of an interest. Now, for you, those of you who don't really have anyone, or you're not in a type of situation like this where you got to stand up to someone, because I'm not necessarily seeing confrontation at all. So it's not like you're all like having fights with people. But, you know, if you're totally single and all that, then this could be someone new coming in, someone quite promising, likely a fellow water sign, another Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, someone that you could have a lot of potential with, but you are going to have to set the boundaries. You know, you're going to have to set those barriers, because let's go down this road, and it's not going to apply to everyone, but just to quickly say it for those singles, if you do end up meeting a water sign or someone with heavy water influence, it's very easy to really lose yourself in the relationships, because the need for the emotional security, and there's that intuitive connection, and it's usually a very spiritual connection, just a lot of spiritual connectedness, and you can kind of lose sight of the reality a little bit. Okay, and not that that's always bad, but you know, I do think that this is someone that you're going to kind of need to be the one that's a little bit more on guard. Look, there's potential for some of you for significant change. Three of Pentacles is always about creativity. And when we talk about creativity, we talk about new avenues, new directions, new projects, new jobs, all sorts of things. And financially fulfilling, you know, emotionally fulfilling. And it is something that brings about positive results. So I'm not seeing any negativity here at all, okay? And the Seven of Wands. It's about fighting, standing up. What can I don't even know, this is not even that hard of a reading. It's like, okay, you just gotta stand up for yourself this month. You know, you gotta know where you stand. You got to stand your ground. Seven of Wands can often be a very precarious situation. You know, sometimes some of you may even be getting ganged up upon, you know, or feeling like people are really ganging up on you. And people are either maybe accusing you of things, or they're really pressuring you. They have a lot of opinions about how you should be living your life. They have a lot of like things to give you. They have a lot of input, but you're really going to need to use your logic, right? The swords in the center of the reading, you're going to need to use your mind and your intellect in order to discern what is and what is not for you. Because you need to understand that we're living in a culture, wherever you are. I don't care if you're in India or, you know, Argentina, France, China, Egypt, wherever it is you are, you're subject to the culture. And you are subject to the belief systems of that culture. And, you know, in American and Canadian and, you know, westernized communities, there's often this culture of romance, or there's this culture of ambition, these types of things. And sometimes you gotta kind of fight that a little bit. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying that romance is bad or ambition is bad. But what I'm saying is, just because you're told that something is good and that a feeling is meant to be good or what, just because you're told that doesn't necessarily mean that that's true. And you're going to need to come to make up your own mind about those things. Because people are always going to be like, oh, well, you should. He's a good guy. He's kind, he's gentle, and he makes you feel. And like, yes, maybe you do have chemistry. Maybe you do feel something good. But yet there are other things that don't make sense. Well, then that's where you're going to need to stand your ground and say, no, it doesn't make sense, in spite of the fact that I have this feeling, right? Because it is just a feeling. Just like how we say, oh, you need to be strong, you need to be strong in order to ward off fear. Well, in a way, you need to be strong to ward off those feelings of love too, because those love feelings can be very destructive at times for many people. And it's just this strong sense of self and strong sense of standards that's going to really keep you grounded, okay? And the Six of Cups. Maybe some of you are dealing with something in the past. I feel that there's a watery presence around you. Not only you, right? But there's a spiritual presence around you. Six of Cups is also a connection with the past, Some of you may have people coming back. You may be hearing from exes. You may be hearing from other types of people. Or in a other weird way. I always had a hard time with the idea of past lives, okay? But the more and more I study it, the more and more I'm like, it's almost like it's an impossibility that we didn't have past lives, Some of you may be coming in contact with a part of who you are in your past life, or a past life. Something may be resurfacing, something may be kind of coming up or bubbling up. And, or there could be a repeated pattern happening here. Maybe you meet someone totally new, but it's reminiscent of something in the past. Like maybe you have intense chemistry with someone, but the last time you had that intense chemistry, it ended up in like a domestic violence dispute or something like that, right? So it's like there's going to be some kind of a trigger of some kind that comes in. And this is kind of why you really need to stop listening to everybody else and do what's best for you. Because Pisces can be highly influenced because of the Neptune rulership. Now, obviously, a lot of you, could have a really prominent Mars placement or something like that, where you are really, strong and opinionated and things like that. But in a very generic and general sense, you're more than happy to give. And, you're more than happy to comply if you see no harm in complying. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. I'm more than happy to go with the flow. You're super easygoing, super relaxed, all types of these things. But now is a time to really say, okay, I really need to listen to what people are saying and what they're kind of wanting me to do, and make up my own mind about whether or not it's really good for me. Because there is an element of familiarity for reals. Something is like, oh my gosh, I've been through this before. I remember this. And remember how it turned out. I feel like some of you might be getting a little bit of a history lesson. The Three of Pentacles is a good card in terms of let's do it differently this time. Let's not go through this repeated thing. Princess of Wands or Page of Wands, communication, but also new directions, and also adventure, and also travel. What did I say about Jupiter, right? Some of you may be planning trips or talking about it, and really, I feel like there's a lot of need to really just go do something new, or to kind of get yourself out of your comfort zone. Because when you go out of your comfort zone, sometimes it really helps to solidify who you are. And belief systems either get thrown out the window, or they become enhanced and confirmed, okay? Because just because you go through a process of questioning what you believe, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to decide that that belief is wrong. Some of you might be like, okay, yes, I believe this, and I believe that it is right after further consideration, you know, and then you can live your life according to that. Princess of Wands. There's a little bit of an immature vibe here, you know, so I don't know if you guys have weird conversation with someone or a weird kind of awkward situation. I don't know. But the pages do not give me a lot of confidence that there's... I'm weirdly not sensing big personalities, but maybe some of you have extremely big personalities, or you're dealing with someone that has an extremely big personality, but yet the way you communicate with each other is a little bit on the immature side. And strength. Okay, well, we've got great strength, valor, and the flaming sword. Okay, and strength itself. And, you know, when we talk about strength, not only does it mean strength, you know, being strong, but it also means your capacity to control your circumstances. No, that's not correct. Your capacity to control how you respond to your circumstances. And you, I believe, are going to be choosing to be diplomatic, to be kind but firm, strict, on point, saying no, no, this isn't going to work. No, I don't want that. Some of you are going to be required to say no, and it's going to be hard, right? Because maybe it's with someone that you've never said no before, you know, or you've given too much of yourself already. So now for you to say no, it's like, what? Like, but it's never too late for you to stand up for yourself, right? It's never too late to establish that boundary. There's something very ethereal going on here. Some of you have a weird out of this world connection with somebody for sure. And be careful of the feelings of familiarity. Be super on point about that. Does this feel familiar? Have I been through this before? Why does it make me feel so good? Or why does it make me feel so hopeful? Maybe that's a better word for some of you. Because there's something... You guys are operating on levels that are not of this three-dimensional planet, this three-dimensional existence that we have. Okay. Eight of Pentacles. What did I just say? Lord of Prudence. Be prudent. Be careful. You know. Knight of Cups. There's the water sign. And the Knight of Pentacles. Look. And now we're getting the Knights. Okay, so we're getting two Knights and two Pages. So there is something a little bit, you know, like I said, immature about this connection, whether communication is really immature or just the way the behavior is at this particular point in time. Sorry. Or, you know, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But this is the card of Virgo, the Knight of Pentacles. Virgo and Pisces have an interesting connection because, you know, you're obviously both mutable signs. You have earth and water, which are quality, you know, quality signs, or, you know, quality connection, especially in romantic partnerships. You can normally work very well together. You do, because Virgo is also a very spiritual sign as well. And they have a similar intuitive sense that you have too. And it's your opposite, you know, Pisces, Virgo, they're all opposite. So whether you're dealing with a Virgo or not, it doesn't matter. But, you know, Virgos can be very demanding. they can be hypercritical, they can be mean. And the earth signs, like, they're really kind of getting the front seat this month, and I'm not quite sure why, but they're really coming out in a really prominent manner in my readings. And I think they're kind of demanding a lot of attention at this point in time. They're requiring stuff from people. And this is the thing, you know, you're really going to need to just stand up for yourself and just say no if something doesn't fit, in spite of their hypercritical tendencies or their tendency to project their issues onto you. You are highly projectable, right, Pisces? You can be really easy for people with issues to take their issues out on you because of the Neptune, because there's not that spirit, there's that no spiritual boundary. You're just connected, and therefore you're available. You know, and it's not a fault, it's a beautiful trait to have, but you have to be careful with it, because in the wrong hands, in a wrong relationship, romantic or not, you are very prone to kind of taking an emotional beating because there's that open door. And this, I think, is you kind of closing the door and saying no. 9 of Wands, no. Not gonna let this happen. Not gonna let this happen again for many of you. Okay, so stand up, be strong, be true to who you are. And you don't have to have belief in everyone. You know, you don't have to have belief in everyone. So, all right, Pisces, good luck. You can do it. I wish you nothing but the best. I will see you next month. Thanks.